welcome back to another episode of The Cure for Cowardice. I'm trying to think of what this video will be about. So I guess I'll just start talking about what happened today and see what happens. So I was at my restaurant job and I was taking care of this table where it was these two guys working on stuff, and I dropped off some drinks, and they asked me a question about AI and a particular use they were considering it for, and I gave them my 2 cents, and then I went back to give them their checks, and I noticed that their hat on the table said the city I live in founder community. And I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a cool hat. What do I gotta do to get one of those? And he was like, oh, are you a startup founder? And I was like, not yet, working on it. And they're like, oh, what are you gonna do? And so I told them about the plan that I had, and they basically, we talked for a minute, and so he founded a group which is founders from the area, people who have founded currently running startups, and they do weekly meetups, and they also have all these different events. And it's and he invited me to come to an event that they're having this Wednesday, and I was like, oh, what time on Wednesday? And he's like, oh, it starts at 9, goes till 5. And I thought about it, and I'm normally doing my main job. I try and do it from about 7:30 to about 10:30 when I start at my door knocking job, but my door knocking job goes to noon start times starting next week, which is nice. And so I was like, okay, well, would I be able to just do it from this time to this time, because I have 4 jobs right now? And he's like, yep, sounds like a founder. And he's like, yeah, that would work, blah, 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 just, register. And he's like, oh, can I airdrop you this stuff? And I have an Android, so he couldn't. And I was like, oh, I have cards. So, because I had just made some new cards for my main job. So I went and gave him one. And he texted me the info. And he's like, oh, it's my cell. Text me if you have any questions, blah, 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 if you need anything. And so he texted me all the info, and basically, on Wednesday, I'm going to be going into this event, so I'm going to take a day off from my main job to go see this thing, and from the sounds of it, it could be pretty sweet. I will have the opportunity to network with startup founders and other like-minded people. And he was like, oh, there's also this group for SaaS startups. So software as a service. And literally, this light bulb went off in my head, because I told him the idea for the business, and he just assumed it was an online service, which wasn't the plan. But the more I started to think about it, the more convenient and the more it would make sense for it to be an online service. And so that was a big light bulb where it was like, oh shit, I can just make this thing online and then have it open so that business owners can go in and put in the situations they're dealing with, put in their info for all this type of stuff, And then it would just be like a shopping cart type system where it's like, well, here's this thing that we could do, which would add this much to the bottom line. Here's this, which would add this much. Here's this that would add this much. And at the end of it, it's just like, bottom line, here's how much it's going to cost up front, if anything. Here's how much it's going to add to the bottom line over what period of time. And, click here to electronically sign, and all of it will just get started. And obviously there would probably be like situations where we needed a more complicated solution, where it'd be like, okay, well, here's our estimates for what we could do, but book a call to go over it, and we can dive in and see how close these estimates actually are. And so that was just like a massive light bulb where it was like, holy shit, this could be an online thing that I hadn't even considered, which would make it so much easier. But anyway, I wasn't even supposed to get that table. Somebody else was given the table, and then they asked me if I wanted to take it. And before that, these two guys said, hey, we want this table, and specifically requested the table that they sat at. So, like, if that's not divine intervention, I don't know what is. And now I have the direct contact and a connection with a guy who literally started a community of business founders in my area. And I have this group that I now have access to that I'm going to start going to. I have this new idea that he inadvertently gave me for how this thing can be ran and how it could be way better, because he heard the idea and he just assumed that it was already that way, because that's how obvious it was to him, which is just like a fucking crazy moment. And I guess all of this to say, I've been struggling, dude. Like, I understand that I'm only doing all these jobs for a sprint so that I can, stack up in X amount of time and solve these problems that I'm facing. But at the same time, something that I realized the other day was that even when I started cutting back on some of these jobs, I would probably just add in more work for something else that, is a higher leverage opportunity. And, obviously I'll cut back a little bit, but, I'm going to be working a lot for pretty much the foreseeable future. And it really bummed me out, because there's this, the girlfriend quest that I've been talking about, and I realized it was like, shit, I wouldn't date somebody that's that busy. I would never see them. And that really sucks. And I got really bummed out, because I was like, damn, I may have to just accept that I'm going to be alone for the foreseeable future. Because it wouldn't, even if they wanted to, even if they were interested in me, it wouldn't be fair to them to have so little time and attention to actually give them. And then on top of it, there's, the, I wouldn't say burnout, but definitely fatigue that I've been experiencing from, doing all this stuff. And so basically I've been going through it, and then today God is like, hey, by the way, here's a situation that by all rights shouldn't have come to pass, but here's exactly something that you were looking for, which is going to help you take that next step forward, help you get focused on the one thing that really matters above all else, even more than the main job, which is the ultimate end goal of having this business, and give you access to like-minded people who could potentially be mentors, and all of it wouldn't have happened had they not specifically requested to sit at that table, and then had the person whose table it was not given that table to me because they didn't feel like taking it. So, all of this to say, when shit is getting really hard, when you're really going through it, if you can just persevere and just stick it out, life will find ways of rewarding you in ways that you never would have imagined. And you can stumble into opportunities that you didn't even know were possible. And this is a great example of that. So, I just got to my aunt's house. I'm here for a family gathering, so I'm going to go in and do that. After that, I am going to go grocery shopping. And then, after that I'm going to go grocery shopping. And then go home, make dinner, prep dinner for tomorrow, because I'm doing deep fried mac and cheese bites, cheeseburger mac and cheese bites. So I got to make the cheeseburger mac and cheese. And then form them into little balls, and then freeze them so that tomorrow I can bread them and then fry them. So I'm very excited for that. Anyways, that's what I got for this one. Just persevere, and things will happen in ways that you never would have expected. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you all on the flip side.